Hi, this is 365801 and this is a reading wrap up for August the 1st to August the 14th. Now I did do a reading wrap up for the month of July and I mostly talked about some stats and some of the main things I read that I didn't do reading vlogs for, but I kept up to date at the start of the year doing lots of reading wrap ups and I felt really good about myself because I was keeping up to date with what I was reading and I was being mindful of what I was reading, and then I just kind of let it go, and I would like to get back into that. So even if this isn't something that I put up on my main channel all the time, it's something that I can look back on and go, okay, that's what I read and that's what the book was about. So I don't want to get to the end of the month and go, what was that about again? Because I have already read quite a few things. I think I've got about 16 things, and that's not including like webcomics and stuff like that, so I have already read quite a few. As you can see in front of you, here you go. It's not many in print. One novel, which is The Husband Material, which I did a reading vlog for my Patreons, and I've got Love Mixup volume 3 and 4. I was rereading volume 3 and then read volume 4 when it came out, and I got it and it was great. And Toraton volume 1 and 2 there as well. But I will probably talk a little bit more about them when I get to it. I want to go in chronological order. It's just easier that way. So I started off the month with a reread because it's always good to, and especially it's an audiobook, it means I can do other things as well. So I'm not going to talk too much about this one, and that is Johnny, that is by C. Cardano C. So I liked it. It's a great one. It's about lion shifters, but it's a nice, well-structured little story, and I would usually give it 3 stars, but because I enjoyed it so much, I've listened to it loads, so I think I have to give it 5 because it's something I can keep going back to. You know how sometimes you're like, it's still a 3 no matter what, no matter how many times I listen to it. Well, this is one that I'm like, no, I'm just going to keep on giving it 5 stars just because it's a good one about someone coming into their own, finally being seen, which is nice. The next one I read pretty much the day it came out. This was the 3rd of August, and that is the Frat Wars 3rd book, Presidential Chaos. This is following Charles and Zeke, who are the presidents of the frat houses, and they have to put up with all of the nonsense that their houses do to one another and all of the issues that entails. But in a sense, the 3 books have covered the space of a year. We kind of pick up the story with Charles and Zeke. You get a little bit of like a sort of, this is what happened near the start of the year, or maybe in the first semester, halfway through the first semester, this kind of interaction between them that starts a kind of semi-anonymous hookup. They know who each other is, but they're still kind of hooking up in a we're not going to talk about it kind of way, or acknowledge it in any way, which is a bit sad. And then you kind of pick up the story at the point in time when the second book kind of ends, if you discount the epilogues. And so you kind of get their the drama that happens for them, Charles and Zeke. There are some good quotes that people like have put it up on social media and stuff when he's calling Charles lots of different nicknames like Chuck, and someone else will call him Charlie, and he'll say his name is fucking Charles. It's like he will not allow anyone else to shorten his name, and that was cute. I liked it. It was very much like who's the bad guy, and you knew who the bad guy was. They did, the author, sorry, but you didn't do a great job of dissuading me from the very first person they said, we think it's this guy might be the bad guy. And then someone said, oh no, it can't be him. And I was like, well, did anyone check? So it was kind of like, oh, so the bad guy that everyone thought was the bad guy was the bad guy? Okay. All right then. But it was good because it was a bit of detective work. And you know, I like a bit of detective stories, mystery stories. Who's the one who's doing all the bad stuff? But it was kind of cute and sweet, and there was a lot more rise and fall with this one. but I'm not too sure if they're my favourite out of the 3 different books, but I had a bloomin' good time reading it. The next one is Trailer Park Trickster. Now this is the Adam Binder, second in the Adam Binder series, and it's free on Audible. So I read the first book, or listened to the first book on Audible, and I actually kind of enjoyed it, and I was like, oh, I might have to pick up the second one. And then it became available on Audible for free as well. And I hadn't really thought about it, and I was like, I'm probably not going to remember what happened, and I'm probably not going to remember the characters. And literally within 5 minutes of listening to the audiobook, I was right back there. I remembered all of the characters, I remembered what was going on, and as the story progressed, it was like, yes, I remember. And by the end of it, I was like, I do really like this world. I really like this story. I like the characters. Adam is a great main character, and the new characters that were introduced seem interesting as well. The other elves. This is a weird one, but it's like urban fantasy with a bit of suspense and stuff. And there is the sort of gay romance-esque, but it's not really, and that's what I'm actually enjoying more of, is the fact that there is plot and the character might be gay. Well, in this case, the character is gay, but like that's the whole point. Like I don't need the romance to be part of the plot, but a gay main character is something I'm really enjoying. There is a sort of romance, a love element, but it's the love, the romantic character that he's supposed to be in a kind of semi-relationship with, who's supposed to be bonded to, they're not actually together for the majority of, if at all. Do they actually end up meeting again? I think they do, like right at the end, obviously, because there's a big thing at the end I can't tell you about because that would spoil it. But the whole thing is like they're not together for the majority of this book. They're having their own adventures, which was fun too, because it meant that we had lots of different perspectives of different things going on, and it was cray-cray. And I loved it. It was a wild ride, and we don't know how it finished, because I remember thinking, did the last one end on a cliffhanger? And it kind of did, but not as big of a cliffhanger as this one. This one's definitely ended on a massive cliffhanger. So give the first book a listen to on Audible if you're on Audible, or give it a read. I think it's available obviously on ebook form as well. But yeah, Adam Binder series, I'm actually now really looking forward to the third book coming out, and I will probably wait and see if it gets put on Audible, because I enjoy the listening experience. It's actually really well done. So yeah, I highly recommend Trailer Park Trickster, or the whole Adam Binder series. And the next thing I read was husband material. As you can see, I've got lots of sticky labels and bookmarks and stuff. I did enjoy reading it, and it was kind of hard to do the whole vlogging thing, just because I had to keep stopping myself and from reading and then talk about what I was reading. When actually what I wanted to do was just consume it, the whole thing, and then talk about it. So this is the second one in the series of London Calling with Luke and Oliver. And the first one was basically like Pride and Prejudice / Bridget Jones's Diary. I have to say it's more like Bridget Jones's Diary. Boyfriend material is more like Bridget Jones's Diary than Pride and Prejudice. But Pride and Prejudice is the original source material for Bridget Jones's Diary, so it's in effect like that as well. Whereas husband material is 100% for weddings and a funeral. Yeah, that's how it is. And are we going to get the third one? Yes, we are. But there's going to be another one, another 2 books actually, about characters that were introduced in husband material. And these characters were barely there. And I was like, am I interested enough of these minor characters who were like on the page for maybe, I don't know, like 2 or 3 pages? Who are just there? They're not really... What did they add to the whole story? Nothing. Not really. You could have left them out. It wouldn't have made any difference. So when I was given if you showed that you had pre-ordered the book, they would send you like a first chapter or a snippet of the next book. And so I got the email and I got the wee snippet, and I read it thinking, well, I don't really care about this character. But the character that was introduced is not the one that's the main character, or the one who's the narrator, the one who's speaking. And so the person who is this main character, I'm like, oh man, I love this character. So now I'm really excited about this next book, which I think comes out next year. So we can look forward to another book. It's in the London Calling sort of pantheon, so there'll be 5 books overall. I really enjoy this. I love the fact that I have it. And even though in my head I was like, don't get the ebook, because if you get the ebook, you'll want to get the audiobook. Get the physical copy and enjoy reading it and having it on your shelf. So I was like, okay. So I paid my monies and I got my physical copy, and I waited until it was delivered, because obviously the release date was right at the start of August and I didn't get it for almost like a week later. That's just how slow Amazon were. And then even when I started reading it, I was like, you know what, I'm missing the audiobook. So I ended up buying the audiobook as well, and I was like, damn it, it was the whole point. It was not to spend money twice on getting the same thing. But I do like the immersive quality of reading something and listening to it at the same time. It's just really nice. So you can close your eyes and just imagine. You don't need to follow on the page. You're still reading. It's great. Anyway, I loved the experience. I love Luke and Oliver. This one, yeah, it was 4 Weddings and a Funeral, and it was great. I love 4 Weddings and a Funeral, so why wouldn't I? So after Husband Material, I needed something that was kind of like palette cleansers, and I found Super Hot Wingman and Crushing on Him as audiobooks on YouTube. I have to say they were on YouTube because they're really short. They were like less than an hour or something, 30 minutes. And they're like prequels to other series. So Super Hot Wingman is Lauren Blakely and Serena Bowen, and then Crushing on Him is just Lauren Blakely. Super Hot Wingman is Before the Best Man book, and I was like, oh, it's alright. Wasn't anything special. I might be interested in reading that. Whereas Crushing on Him, I was like, meh. I wasn't really that bothered. It was about a guy who, I think it's baseball. I can't even quite remember. It's baseball, I think. And he has a crush on a guy who is an athlete like him, and who's also gay like him. And that was it. So yeah, they're just like literal prequels, but they were up on YouTube, and I was like, oh, I will be listening to this. I think I have them on ebook anyway, because I think they're free. So if you want to go and check out what they are, they're on Kindle for free, I think. You can just purchase them as you would normally, but they don't cost anything. There's quite a lot of books on Amazon that are for free. So yeah, they were okay. Then I read Two for Trust, which is it's like a dream spinner type thing, and I saw Catban Books reading this imprint, so I was like, oh, okay. So I gave it a go, and it's absolute trash. So trashy. It's about an American who is a nurse who goes to the UK to visit historical places and fancy manor houses and like that. He's on holiday. He had to give up his job because he'd booked the holiday and they wouldn't give him time off, and so he's kind of like, oh, what am I doing with my life? But I'm going to go and enjoy my English. It was very English holiday, and his name is Finch, which I was like, oh, I love Finch. I love Finch, the story in the book and the character. So this is another Finch. So maybe I'll like this guy too. Anyway, he meets Benedict at this fancy manor place. And they go for a walk and they see a mill and they go to the cafe, and he's worried about how much money he has because he doesn't have a lot of money and blah blah blah. Anyway, it's kind of obvious. We as the audience or the reader are supposed to not know that it's obvious that Benedict is the person who owns the house. But it's obvious that he owns the house, and Finch does not know this, and we're like, Finch, dude, come on. Anyway, it's what's the word for it? You know, when someone did this really fantastic TikTok or reel or short or something, and it was like, do you want a rich millionaire man to rescue you and marry you, or are you just a slave to the capitalist system? And I was like, whoa. And that's kind of what these books do. It's that whole, you know, swept off your feet by a millionaire, or billionaire now, because it has to be billionaire, because a millionaire isn't good enough. Like, I'm okay with a millionaire, guys. If there is a millionaire out there that wants to sweep me off my feet, hey, sure, cool. I'll take it. Benedict, I don't know if he is a millionaire or not, but he certainly is very rich, and he has an estate and stuff. And he obviously has a thing for Finch. So there you go. It's very much that sort of self-indulgent dreaming about being rescued from your financial state and also getting love at the same time. And I don't diss that. I'm not saying that there's not a place for that, because oh my god, the way that we have our lives and the way that the economy is just wrecking things, and all of how, you know, reality is not somewhere where we all want to be all of the time. But this was completely self-indulgent. It was like being dropped in the icing of a cupcake and trying to swim and not drown in it. But I didn't dislike it. I had a good time. So yeah, it was an alright one. Then I ended up getting completely distracted by a whole series, and it was just the first one, Shortbread and Shadows, that I listened to the audiobook of, and then I was just like, I have to read the rest. So the rest of them I read in ebook form. That it's all part of a series. So Shortbread and Shadows follows Lachlan and Bartholomew, and they are at like a convention, and they have stalls that are neighbours. So Bartholomew is like a computer IT guy, but he really wants to be a baker, and he also is completely in love with the guy who has the stall next to him, Lachlan, who's this big beefy guy who has like a woodworking and carpenter craftsman type business that he does. So he does lots of things in beautiful wood, and he knows that Bartholomew has the hots for him, but he's waiting for Bartholomew to make the first move. And I'm like, dude, why don't you just ask him out? So apparently for like 2 years, or at least a year and a half, he's like trying to get Bartholomew to interact with him and ask him out, and he's being flirty and all that kind of stuff, but he's never actually gone for it, which makes him a bit of a dick, and he owns up to that, which is great. And Bartholomew is like so shy, and he's really worried, you know, that someone won't like him. And that's their story. But this whole series is actually about, I don't know, I can't really tell you about too much, but it's about witches. So Bartholomew is part of this modern day coven of 7 individuals. They all live in a cul-de-sac. This is the main story of the whole series, okay? The whole series is a 4-book series, and I absolutely loved it. I ate up with a spoon. They do a spell, and the spell is for their heart's desire. But when they write down on the piece of paper what their heart's desire is, each member of the coven, all 7 of them, lied. They lied when they did the spell. The magic was like, bitch please, and smacked them all on their asses and forced the word out of their mouth of what they really wanted, their true heart's desire. And then, in doing so, they released some sort of being that was actually present in their cul-de-sac that is about like apathy and self-deprecation, and it feeds off of that, so it makes people not want to take the next step in life, not be courageous and not have good self-esteem. So they're all getting really down, but it also causes crazy shit to happen. Oh, I loved it. It was so full of witchiness. It would be a really great read in October, Halloween time. It's definitely like, yeah, this is when you should be reading this series. So I'm a little bit early but I got my witchy kick out of it. It was great. So yeah, lots of nonsense happens. Turns out that Benedict had said Lachlan's name. Not Benedict. Bartholomew had said Lachlan's name when he got smacked down on the ground, and so he needs to confront his love for this man for the magic to, like an as apology or something. Anyway, the next 3 books are quite interesting as well. It's basically all of the people in the coven have to confront the lie that they're telling themselves. The last book, though, is called Heartbeats in a Haunted House, and that follows Dante and Cully, and that's the hardest one to read. It's the most heartrending, so it's the one I would probably give like a 3.5 star to, just because it deals with the fact that they met on the very first day of college and had the hots for each other and became friends, but didn't do anything about it, and they then continued to not do anything about it for the next 7 years, even though they became roommates. They were roommates, and they are, to everyone around them, perfect for each other. They love each other, and it's quite obvious that they should be together, but they're lying to each other about the love that they have and keep on, denying that. And so the magic, as punishment, when they go back into their house, traps them in no space and no time. So it messes with their head, and it's like they're living in a fugue state, and sort of messes with their memories as well. So they have half of these, at a certain point in time, half these memories that are real memories of them not being together, just being friends, and half of the memories are if they had actually taken the chance when they were younger, 7 years earlier, and had the relationship start, and then all of these memories that they would have made along the way, so they can remember a place and a time exactly as it was and how it happened, and they can then remember at the exact same time the same place and the same time but completely differently because they're together. And so they remember their first kisses, and they remember making love, and they have all these memories that aren't real memories, and it messes with their heads. And they're also stuck, not in place and not in time, so their friends who want to save them from this house can't save them because they're sometimes not there, and sometimes they can hear them but they can't see them, and sometimes they can see them and they talk to them, but then they forget talking to their friends, and the magic sometimes stops them from remembering what their friends said to them, and they have to confront the fact that they are in love, and they need to get over the fear of admitting that. And I found that was the most heartbreaking, because there was this pain of the mind not being your own, and it reminded me of, in a way it was more heartbreaking because so many stories of people with Alzheimer's or people who've had injuries, and it affects their memories of people and places and loved ones, and that's always really heartbreaking. So yeah, I found the final one, because it was a culmination of a story that was a thread that ran through all 4 books. I found it a little bit more engaging than the other ones, but I really enjoyed all the characters. It was a great cast of characters, so I do recommend. Amy Lane, I think, wrote them, and I didn't expect to. They'd be great in October. Highly recommend. I then read My Love Mixup. I did a reread of volume 3, and then I went into volume 4. I was so happy when it arrived. I was just, boom, out the box, into my hands, read. I love Alki and Ida, and they had got to the point now when they were like, are we going out? Yes. But Alki is afraid that Ida doesn't actually have feelings for him, and so he has to confront that. And then Ida's just being silly and like telling all his volleyball pals, yeah, we're going out. And Alki's like, are you insane? So they fight about that. And the Christmas episode is lovely when they're selling cakes. Oh, so good. And Hashimoto and Aida, they're making kind of progress with their relationship too. It's just nice. It was progress made. The whole bisexual panic, when Ida takes off his top because it got like tea or juice or something stained on it, and he's like, oh, taking it off, and he's showing his abs. Alfie's like, panic, panic. It was just so cute. All of the faces are just hilarious, and that's what I think I love about this. It's not just the storytelling is realistic and cute and sweet, it's also so funny and very well drawn. The art just complements the story, the series so well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to volume 5 when it comes out. The only thing I'm pre-ordering, I haven't pre-ordered it yet though, so I'm gonna have to see if I can get a pre-order for a good price. After that, I really wanted to just have something quick and easy and something enjoyable, so I reread The Rune of Gabriel Ashley by KJ Charles. So good. I love it. It's like it's a comfort read. It's so easy to read. It's about Gabriel and Francis and how they first kind of got together, and some betting on cards that went wrong. And when someone says, what will you bet? Well, I'll give you all of your money and your house, all your properties back. For you, but what will your wager be? You bent over that table, legs spread, calling my name. I'm like, oh no! I loved it. I loved it so much, and it's only like 30 pages long. It's such a perfect little story. So great. And then the last thing here, you can see it in front of you, Toraton. I for the longest time could not get a volume 1 for good price, and I finally did. So I could finally read Toraton, Birds of a Feather by Yamamoto Katetsuko. This is sublime. Absolutely loved it. It was great, but probably a 4-star rather than a 5. I do like Yamamoto Katetsuko, and I think we should have more of her work in print. She's so prolific. So prolific. This is a good story. It's about Inukai, who is a sort of, he thinks he's a private detective, but he's a jack of all trades, really. And he has the unfortunate ability to be able to understand birds as though they are speaking to him, and he can converse back. Not that he wants to. And the landlady has a cafe which has some cats in it, and he enjoys going there. And the landlady's son, who is just about to graduate from high school, is Mitsuru. And he has the ability to inhabit the bodies of birds with his consciousness. And so Inukai, when he meets a crow, it just so happens that Mitsuru is inhabiting that crow at that time. And they end up having a chat. And Inukai kind of has a crush on the crow. Not gonna lie, crow was kind of cool. Which is a bit confusing for Inukai, so he also then interacts a bit more with Mitsuru and finds out that he kind of has a crush on Mitsuru too. Oh, what's a guy to do? So it's a very silly book, but I really do like the two of them together, the 2 volumes. It was really fast. I love the artwork, and all the birds are drawn really well. It's Yamamoto Katetsuko, so it's going to be good. It's obviously going to be good. So yeah, that's everything I read from the 1st to the 14th of August. Quite a lot of audiobooks and ebooks. I'm going to try and reduce what I'm reading for the next 2 weeks over the last half of the month. I've got a lot to do, but I will have a buddy read with Katie that I'm looking forward to. And other than that, I'm going to wing it. I have loads of library books and stuff I need to finish. Oh dear. I still have not finished The House in the Cerulean Sea, so that's probably going to be my main priority, which means I probably won't read anything else. I've been putting off so much. I don't know why, I just need to get it done. So yeah, so that's everything I read, quite a lot. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you watched to the end, give it a thumbs up. Comment down below if you've read any of these. Subscribe if you haven't already and you want to. I'm 36581 and I make videos about male romance, BL manga, yaoi and all that good stuff. Take care everyone, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!